Hello YouTube, it is EverythingEpan here, and in this video we are doing a video tutorial on how to install Windows Longhorn Build 3706 in Virtualbox. Now, this is the second build of Longhorn that was released, and this is coming from a archive site now. Since WinWorld does not include every single Longhorn ISO, this one has a bigger archive on it, so now been able to do some versions of Longhorn that haven't been able to been done in the past due to them not being on the WinWorld site. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it here. Of course, links will be in the description here. Virtualbox will be there as always if you do need to download it at all. And then here is the archive link. This is the Windows Longhorn and Vista archive. So it's got all the builds in here from pre-reset 3683 all the way to the end. And then the post-reset builds all the way to the end as well, up till the RTM release. And this is uploaded by Phantom Ocean 3, so shout out to him for the ISO providing here. So there's a bunch of different files here. So it'll be listed right here. When the page loads, it'll have either ISO image or torrent. You want to hit the arrow on ISO image, and then the download here for 3706 is right there. So, once you have that downloaded, also a link will be in the description, will be in there for MS-DOS 6.22 ISO. You will need this for changing the BIOS state, of course, since VirtualBox does not have its own BIOS built in. Once you have everything downloaded and open there, we'll go ahead and open up VirtualBox here. Did not mean to open up VMware there. We'll go ahead and create a new virtual machine. We're just going to call this Windows Longhorn Build 3706, and then for the version you'll want to have this selected as Windows XP 32-bit and hit next. And it's going to ask how much RAM you want to dedicate to it. I'm going to bump it up to 1 gig. I'd recommend putting it at that, or maybe even 2 gigs if you wanted to, but probably at least 512 megs. But 1 gig would be probably perfect for it there if you can, and hit next. And then this is where we're going to create that virtual hard drive. So we'll do that by hitting create, and then pick whichever file type you'd like, hit next, and then you can choose either one of these options. You can read up on it here on which one you feel would be more necessary for you. I usually just select dynamically allocated and then hit next. And then this is where you'll want to choose your capacity here, your hard drive size. So it's defaulted at 10 gigs, which should be enough since I think it's about 3 or 4 gigs, since it's pretty much using XP to install. Doesn't take too much to install, which that was about 3 or 4 gigs. So 10 gigs should be fine. You can increase it if you want. Once that's done, just hit create, and it will create your virtual machine here. And then once that is created, whether it's at the top, if that's your first machine you've created, or wherever it is, make sure it's highlighted and go to settings. And then go to storage and hit the empty disk. And we're going to want to choose the virtual disk file. Mine's in the list here. I was doing some testing with it prior. But locate where the MS-DOS 6.22 ISO is saved, where you have that downloaded. Make sure that's entered in there and hit OK. And then we'll go ahead and start the machine. And so we're going to go ahead and get that machine started up here. And it will load us up into the MS-DOS ISO. Once that is loaded up here, we'll want to go ahead and type in date. And then once that's up, the date we'll want to type in here for this is 10/30/2002. Again, that's 10/30/2002. And you'll want to have hyphens in between there instead of backslashes or anything like that. And then just hit enter. It will set that as the date. And then once that is changed up here, we'll want to insert the Longhorn ISO. So again, choose a disk file and locate where you have the Longhorn 3706 ISO located. When you have that located, make sure that's inserted, and then we'll go up to machine and do reset. And it will bring us up into the setup screen here. And then once it loads through everything, it will bring us up to the first notification prompt here on the setup. So on this, just hit enter. And then we'll hit enter once more, and it'll come up to the licensing agreement for this. Just go ahead and hit F8. And then it'll ask us to pick the partition. Of course, the only one we should have is the one that we did, so just hit enter on it, the unpartitioned space, and then you can do either NTFS quick or NTFS. I usually just do NTFS quick, doesn't really matter. And then it will go ahead and format the drive here. So it'll go through that, and then once that is finished, it will go ahead and copy over the files. So depending on the hardware, it shouldn't take too long here, so we'll just let those files copy over, and then once that's done, it will prompt us to go ahead and reboot here. So we'll see that once that's all done, and here's the prompt. So go ahead and hit enter and let the timer run out, and it'll reboot the virtual machine. Do not press any key to boot from the CD. It'll just go in a constant loop. So that's, of course, one of my bigger reminders that I end up saying during the tutorials. And then you'll come up to the graphical part of the interface here, of course. Pretty much identical to Windows XP. A lot of the setup is going to be identical, other than when we get to the later part of the setup, instead of the music it plays for XP, it'll play something different. However, due to copyright, I will need to make sure that is muted during that portion of the setup. But when you're installing it, you'll be able to hear it without any issues. So the installing devices prompt will come up there on the left side, and it will load through that. And then once that's loaded through, it'll give us our first prompt here. So once that is all loaded through, it'll go ahead and bring up that prompt. So we'll just wait to get that up here. And there's that prompt here. Of course, it will be region and language. So make sure you have that specified as you need and hit next. And then you'll want to type in a name at least. You can type in an organization if you want. It's just going to do it for the install. And then hit next. And then we'll want to enter in the product key in here. If you're able to see this on the screen, you should be able to. Otherwise, on that archive site, it should have the product key listed there, so you can make sure to go and view it on that site from the link in the description. But you can pause it here to view this if you're able to as well, and then hit next once that's done entered in there. And then choose a name for your PC. You can leave it defaulted as what it has, this kind of randomized one, or you can change it if you want. I'm just going to call it Longhorn 3706. And hit next. You can put it into admin password if you want, but you can skip that by hitting next. And then it'll ask for the time zone. Make sure to confirm your date and time. And it should be Wednesday, October 30th, 2002. Since we did adjust that with the MS-DOS ISO. So once you have that all specified, go ahead and hit next. And it'll have our networking settings come up. So just make sure that's still set at typical. Hit next. And then leave it at no and work group in the text and hit next. And it will go ahead and proceed with continuing on the setup here. So this part will be probably the longest it will be throughout the setup here. So it will copy files and then complete the installation. And then it will load through the rest of the setup, installing like the start menu items, those sorts of things. So I'm going to go ahead and let this run through here, and then I will come back to you guys once it's getting close to rebooting, or we're at the next reboot point here. All right, so at the next reboot point here, and make sure you do not press any key to boot from the CD, or again, it'll just keep going in that loop. And then once that is all finished here, it will go ahead and prompt us up to go ahead and improve the display. Visual elements it says, but it will kind of do a display check here. So once that's up here, just hit OK and hit OK once more, and it'll go into the next setup. Now, this is where the music will play, but I again do have this muted so that it will not play. But it'll sit here for a bit, and then it should eventually come up. So I played for a little bit there. I should be fine on that. But once that comes up, again, that music will continue to play in the background. But when it comes up, just hit next. It will check the internet connectivity here. And then just leave it on local area network, hit next. And then do no on the activation and hit next. And then this is where you're going to create your user account. So just type in whatever user account you'd like and hit next. And then hit finish, and it should finish. And we'll play the logon sound. And it will get us logged into the operating system here. Now, as for guest editions, it will not work. I've tried installing it and it does not work here, but you still can adjust the screen resolution. The highest I have it here for me is 1600 by 1200. But yeah, again, you can adjust it still, and the sound does work. So most of everything should work on here. But here you can see it does say build 3706 down in the bottom right, and it's got Longhorn Milestone 3 build here. So with that being said, that is the complete video tutorial on how to install Windows Longhorn Build 3706 in VirtualBox. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, you can certainly leave a like down below, and if it did help you out as well, you can leave a like down below. If you have any ideas for any future videos or content, go ahead and leave a comment down below. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, you can hit the subscribe button down below and hit the post notification bell to be notified when I upload and to keep up to date on my content. Once again, this is the video tutorial on how to install Windows Longhorn Build 3706 in VirtualBox. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.